First podcast in a little while. Finished recording it. Uploaded on the line. Audio wasn't working. Spent 45 minutes trying to figure out what was going on with the file. Couldn't figure it out. Just going to re-record. But back after not really a break or a planned break. Just working through how to get on here and share some coherent insights. So, got to dig a little deeper. One of the things I've been doing just to try and bring some insight into the daily, just reading a little bit more, listening to some more books, talking to some more people. But I have a couple cool ideas over the next couple days. Also going to try and maybe split single ideas, go back to single ideas across podcasts instead of rifling through 3 at once in a single podcast. Maybe say something a little bit more meaningful, a little less, go a little bit further than superficial for each topic. Who knows? Probably need to give up on the whole idea that I only want to do in-person interviews. Seems a little bit not feasible for the time to stay regular and consistent, but we'll get to that. So one of the things I was thinking about talking about here was, so here we go. But before I get into that, I was went to the gym today, Sunday, and one of the things, so we're doing the Open at CrossFit Mafia, so every week CrossFit releases a workout on Thursday. Anyone participating has from Thursday to Monday at whatever PM to do the workout and submit a score if they want to participate in the online leaderboard. And this is the final week, so a bunch of people were in today retesting the workout. It's so wild to me in a nice way. It's like a warm, fuzzy, fulfilling way. I'm in the gym, and there are a lot of people in this gym, and like everyone who shows up, I think to some extent cares about their performance, cares about getting better. But this third workout was not it was a fun workout, but man, it didn't make you feel great. And there are people who did it yesterday showing up today to retest doing better. That's such a cool thing. That makes me excited, right? And it's people just operating with the governor just ripped off the engine. And why do I say that? I say that because, you should probably wait till Monday to retest. Get a little bit more rest. Or did you analyze your times or whatever? And they're just like, fuck it. I'm going to go because I know I can do better, and I'm just going to send it today. And it made me think a lot about, I do want to talk about this in a longer podcast, is like how many of us and how often are you walking around with the governor on in your life? I see this so much. I say this to myself so much. I get this really cool idea. I get really excited about something. I'm like, nah, maybe you should just wait to do that. I don't know if that's the right thing to do right now. And I think that's more detrimental than it is not detrimental, especially as you get older, especially if you have capability for follow through. Especially if it's something you actually feel passionate about. But that's what those people today back in there doing retests got me fired up. Because, they're competitive and they care, but I don't think any of them are qualified in the semifinals and then qualified in the CrossFit Games. They just show up and they're like, I know I could do better than yesterday, so that's exactly what I'm here to do. I don't care if I'm tired, sore, using the same muscles, movements. I love that. Because it's so easy to complain and point the finger and talk about whatever. So, it is Sunday, so we'll do a little accountability too, and then we'll get into the topic of flows and stocks. A little book I'm reading. It's called the Thinking in Systems. I think that's the title of it. Thinking in Systems, a primer. Horrifically boring name, but so no offense to the author, who looks well published, and I've really enjoyed the book so far. But accountability. Okay, podcast. Took a couple of days off. Didn't really want to. Can't say it was a planned rest, thoughtful rest. Just poorly prioritized, disorganized. And, one of the things that's easy for me to point at, started off the podcast with this, is I say, hey, I don't want to get on the podcast and talk about something when I don't really have a solid, coherent idea. It's kind of pointing the finger externally, because when I think about what are the things back at me, I could do a little more prep. I found myself wasting a little time, doing stuff that I don't need to be doing over the last couple of days, getting a little sidetracked. So one of the things I've been having ideas or having conversations with people. I had a great conversation with a friend yesterday, and I haven't been writing these things down consistently, scattered all across my phone notes. I don't have like a centralized note to keep them in. And this is all little shit. This isn't like, I don't know, accountable for like some big health issue or something I didn't do well in a relationship or at work. But I do think it's important because accountability anywhere can start to turn into accountability everywhere else, I believe. You got to start with these small skills of accountability to actually apply this in a scenario where there's a lot of accountability to be had. And as we've talked about in the past, I think it's very exciting and nice, especially when there's a lot of accountability in a scenario. Maybe you're leading a big team. There's a lot of other factors that could lead to an outcome, so it's easy to pass the buck. Man, it's really exciting to actually do so. To just point the finger and say, oh, well, there was X, Y, and Z that contributed to this. It's a fun thing to do, easy thing to do. So we always want an explanation. It does kind of suck to sit there and say, hey, you know what? All this other stuff did happen, but here's what I could have done better. Here's what I did to contribute to a bad outcome. And I think you got to start with that with the small things. So the podcast, it's less about, when I really sit down and think about it, it's less about, I can't find an idea to talk about coherently. It's more about, hey, I have ideas throughout the day. I choose not to write them down. Just being lazy, distracted by something else. I have been reading more, listening more to books on tape. Oh, that's funny. Anyone who remembers listening to books on tape, what a nightmare. You get to the end of it like, and to progress to chapters 6 through 12, turn this cassette over to side B. And then for chapters 13 through 14, grab the other 20 cassettes. And you just walk around with a bag full of cassettes, tapes. Anyway, audiobooks. So reading more, listening to more audiobooks. So getting good ideas, hearing other people crystallize thoughts I've had in their expertise, research, and whatnot. So that's what that is with the accountability. What am I going to do? I'm going to create a little designated area to take notes on thoughts I have throughout the day. The other thing I'd like to push myself to do is focus on a single topic per episode. This is not going to be one of those episodes. So we're starting off not on a good foot. Stocks and flows. Listening to this book, Thinking in Systems, a primer, and not very far into it, maybe second chapter, probably an hour or so, or maybe a little more, 2 hours of listening. Really enjoyed it. It starts off with what seems like a very simple and mundane concept, is that any system has a stock, which is quantifiable whatever. Think about it as one of the first analogies the lady uses is a bathtub. The system of the bathtub, the stock is the water in the bathtub. And then they talk about flow in, flow out. Flow in could be turning on the cold water faucet. Flow could be turning on hot water. Flow could be turning on both. Flow out could be you pull the plug, water drains out of the tub, maybe put the plug back in, you stop that outflow. Flow could also be there's a crack in the tub, it's leaking. Flow could be you just splish splash taking a bath and you splashing water out of the tub. That could be flow out. Someone could come in and dump a cold bucket of water on your head. That could be flow in. Anyway, you get the idea. What really stuck out to me about this, what seemed like a very simple analogy, and there are different types of flows and stocks and how they relate to each other, and it gets a little bit more complicated, and I like how she's sorting it out. I don't always think it's good to be even minorly this pensive or self-reflective, but in this case, I liked it because I still hear a lot of this, and I don't know how to navigate it personally, and when talking to other people about it, when they maybe are asking for advice on it or just listening to them. But this whole, got to fill my cup, got to recharge, need a me day. And I just say, that's why caffeine was invented. No, you don't. No. But one of the things that stood out to me in her analogy about stocks and flows was that there are certain types of inflows, and some of them fill the stock faster. Some of them fill the stock in a different way. Some of them fill different stocks in the system. So an example to bring this to something that I'm thinking about is somebody said to me recently, if you work with the mind, you need to rest with your hands. I do a ton of computer work for my job. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but affords me a lot of wonderful things. Generally like the team I work for, could do it from anywhere, right? There's upsides to it. But anyway, generally do not love it compared to some other things. Now, One might say, hey, you just need to rest, take your time off. Maybe you watch Netflix, play a video game, be on your phone. But like the last thing I want to do is be on a screen. And even though I'm technically from an energy expenditure standpoint, quote unquote, resting, I don't feel like the stock gets refilled from work when I do those things. Now, if I'm doing projects outside, working on stuff, physical labor, physical exercise, that actually increases whatever that stock is. Now that's interesting, right? Because that's energy expenditure. Normally like, oh, why are you doing all this stuff? You got to slow down. You've been working, blah, blah, blah. But that's exact opposite. The more I work at a computer, the more I do away from the computer physically, 100% the better I feel, the more refilled, fulfilled I feel. So this stuck out to me as if I feel like I am not feeling recharged, instead of just doing the same thing I've always done, which is taking this blanket approach to rest, I think it's worthwhile to spend a little bit of time of saying, like, question one is, well, why do I feel like I need to be recharged? Why do I feel like the stock is low? Because there are also different ways that the stock flows out. Like I said, the bathtub could have a leak in it. And so if, as opposed to I've pulled the plug on the drain and now it's draining out. If the bathtub has a leak in it and I'm just pouring more water in, that's not necessarily going to fix the tub. That's not going to replenish the stock. Stock's going to keep leaking. Or I'm going to have to pour water in at an excessive rate in order to make up for that leak. So what I mean by this is, if you are feeling like you have some stock that needs to be replenished, maybe it's a physical energy stock, there's something specific that you need to do. And you need to do it in a specific way to replenish that stock. It can't always be the same type of quote unquote rest and recharge. And I thought this was really interesting. It made me take kind of a quick look at, like, if I'm feeling physically tired and run down, or mentally tired and run down, the roads to restocking those and the flow incoming I need to restock those is different for both. And you can get caught in a situation where maybe you feel mentally run down and all of the flow you have coming in to restock your mental stock is really only beneficial for physical fatigue. I thought this was really interesting. It was a cool idea. Personally, I'm going to keep thinking through it, but I think if you're one of those people who finds yourself quite often saying things like, oh, I just need a rest day. I just need a me day. I'm always feeling run down. My cup is always empty. Look at how you're feeling it and look at how things are going out of it, rather than just kind of doing the same old me day shit that we do. Not saying that stuff can't be useful, but if you've been doing the same old things, you're not noticing a lot of change. You're like, oh, I just need to rest more. No, maybe you just need to rest or replenish your stock in a different way, at a different rate, with different methods. I thought it was interesting, and I really liked the idea. So going to keep listening to this book, probably sharing some things here. Like I said, not the most exciting title, and it kind of starts off slow, but that idea stuck out to me extremely well. We're back at it. We're moving. This one, ideally, we'll record and upload. More tomorrow.